A nigga might be from a third world country, but a nigga got standards. All right, let's get it popping in here. This is Let's Talk Facts 5. We're going to talk about various things from, you know, uh, people always making excuses for why they're not doing something or why they can't do something or why they why they magically can't, make stuff happen. The funny thing about that is when it comes to trolls and when it comes to me, I simply have this rule of thumb basically especially when it comes to people that lie through their fucking teeth or make up shit so people can feel bad for them. The sad part about that is I don't want everybody riding with me. I just want people to know the fucking truth because I'm all about the fucking truth. I'm not about making excuses on why I can't do something or why, something can't happen or something like that. That's why this is Let's Talk Facts 5 because somebody made a video talking about I can only show part of it. I can't show it all. The funny thing about that is, if you know anything about my channel, we there's about like 4 streams where we've all like brandished firearms on the fucking stream, the whole entire firearm. Hell, there's a stream where Duzang's had his there's multiple streams where Duzang's has his AR in a frame. I have 2 streams with Threads shotgun in the stream, his revolver in the stream. I also have a stream with where where what's his name? Uh Life basically just showed his revolver the whole entire stream laying on the table basically. I have a stream where like my Caltech is just laying on his table. Um things along the lines of that. So when it comes to making up excuses on why you can't show your gun and stuff like that, I found it rather bullshit because I've actually showed guns. We've all showed guns in streams. Hell, there's a stream where we all talked about all our guns in the middle of the last stream, like it wasn't shit. Like and YouTube did nothing. YouTube did nothing with that stream, which is actually pretty funny. It's kind of like the one stream where the one dude wagged his dick in the stream, and YouTube did nothing either. But the funny thing about that is something I find funny is like when people make up excuses on why they can't do something because YouTube would get them, when in fact YouTube ain't going to get you. um like I said, we've done multiple streams where we've just brandished firearms and knives and various weapons and shit like that all the time. And it's like, well, you had the one stream we had Duzang show all his weapons. We had MGTOW Life show his revolver. We had matter of fact we had Mr. Hate Vicious stop in and show his weaponry. You had Win with his axes and various blades and shit like that. You had me with my Caltech and my Dragunov in the stream. You also had MGTOW Threads with his shotgun and his revolver and a couple other guns that he had on display. Then you had somebody else show up with their AK-47. You had a person show up with their M4. Yeah, so it's one of those things where like you really have to look at the person and look at them sideways when they actually make up shit. And the thing I always found funny about it is how these people always want to try to make me seem like I'm mean or I'm a bad guy. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I work in the medical field. And then, they want to try to say, well, Tico, you weren't there, so you don't know. Nigga, I know what scratches look like if you're going to kill yourself. I know what scars look like if you're going to make it happen, basically. I work in the medical field. I worked in the ER. It's pretty much what it is for all intents and purposes. I know what shit looks like. You can't sit up here and tell me that there's scars all over the place, or a person gouged his face out, and there's only one scar going from one end to. There's only one scar, the size of like look like somebody took a paper clip and just ran from one end to the other, basically. Really, a bunch of scars with a paper clip. And it's one of those things where like people always got to over exaggerate shit and make shit seem way cooler than it needs to be, or way more amazing than it needs to be. And the funny thing about that is typically I don't really fuck with people because they always make me sound cooler than what I really am. It's kind of like this one thing I got right here. Yeah, because it pretty much is what it is for all intents and purposes when it comes to trolls and stupid people about me. They make me sound way cooler than my life really is, and for all intents and purposes, and that's the funny part. And I actually did a Let's Talk Facts 4, and I talked about the whole entire trucking thing. Thanks for letting everybody know I own a trucking business. Yeah, but it is what it is. It's one of those things where like you have to basically take the good with the bad and be able to roll with the punches. And that's something I've always been able to do, roll with the punches and take the good with the bad. And I've always found it funny how people always try to say, we got to stop this drama in the manosphere. Is that and the other? Like, dude, we do this every year. This happens every year. Sometimes somebody got to be exposed. Somebody got to be exposed for being fake every single year, time and time again. And the sad part about that is I've never been fake. I've always been real. Like I said, I'm an honest criminal. Unlike you lack honesty, pretty much like your mother said. You're not you're pretty much a pathological liar, like your mother and a few of your relatives actually said. Interview on MGTOW TV. Um, um, but yeah, it's one of those things where like you got to be able to take the good with the bad. You got to be able to roll with the punches. If you're going to call yourself a man, you can't always be in your feelings. And the sad part about that is I'm never really in my feelings. I'm just an asshole. Hence the name Internal Sadist. I take pleasure in pain. I take pleasure in seeing people hurt, or seeing people fall, or seeing people that need to hurt, basically. Sometimes you need to hurt to better yourself for all intents and purposes. I take pleasure in that. Hell, I'll laugh at my child if they fall and hit their face. What you think I'll do to your ass? But it's one of those things where it's like you have to understand the nature of the person you're dealing with. And the sad part about that is you only see surface level, or you only see false things about you only see like the false things about me that you can't even you can't even confirm or deny, basically. And you want to try to make it a picture of me when in fact it's really not a picture of me. Like I said, I am who I am. I'm an honest criminal. I've admitted that multiple times on many streams across many platforms, and I've said it to multiple people, with cops, without cops. I'm an honest criminal at the end of the day. So there's nothing you can do and say about my character that would ever really change or alter anybody's view of my character, when in fact I'm the most honest person in the world. Hell, I'll laugh at myself. I'll laugh at you too. I'll laugh at my own children, my grandma. Like I always say, it don't matter if you're the Pope, the Bishop, the priest, the rabbi, Jesus, God. Them niggas all know what they made when they made me. There's nothing you can do to my character that will alter it or make it any different or defame it, because I am who I am. Unlike you, who got to fake it till you make it, basically. It's funny how that works, right? It's funny how that works. Or you got to lie to your teeth so you can make yourself seem more admirable or more amazing than you really are. It's sad. That's pathetic and sad. And the sad part about that is you want to sit up here and talk about your people making beer when in fact your people didn't actually make beer. Beer's been around since the ancient Egypt. Beer's been around since what, Mesopotamia. Beer's been around since the Chinese trade routes, basically. The Arab Chinese trade routes, basically. So no, your people didn't make any damn thing. It's been around a lot longer than those people, basically. It's sad, but it's true. Hate to break it to you. Actually still study history. Unlike you probably like look for a certain point in history and say, look, this is what people did. No, I look throughout the whole entire history, unfortunately. When it comes to stuff like that, so I've always found it funny how people always want to drag race in this stuff, even though they want to make a video talking about let's not talk about race here. They always want to drag race in this shit. And the funny thing I've always found funny about race is the only reason why race is even an issue, and people always bring up race, is because they have nothing else to cling to. They have nothing else to cling to. That's all they have, and that's all they have for identity. So they have to cling to race. It's sad. That's all you have. It's kind of like It's kind of like the question I posed. If your country was to collapse today, everything that you are and work for in school was to all go away, what would you have? Who would you be as a human being? Like, think about that. Who would you be, and what would you have as a human being if everything was to collapse around you? All your credentials are gone. All everything about you that you knew and earned via your country was gone. Who would you be? People can't even think of stuff like that. People can't even fathom losing their credentials, especially if their country collapsed. It's very hard. It's very easy to actually happen. I've seen it happen multiple times in multiple countries. And 1 minute you have credentials, the next minute you know that the whole entire system collapses. You have zero credentials. Your credentials are garbage. They don't exist anymore. You see what I'm saying? And people think because they have these credentials or they have these things that they'll be amazing throughout the whole entire world, when in fact you still need that country to actually exist, to actually have those credentials. It's sad, but it's true. Like I said, I've seen multiple countries do this and go through this stuff. Uh, which I've always found funny when it comes to certain people. And like I was saying, as far as race is concerned, it's funny how the people who yelled the loudest about let's not bring race into this, always brings race into stuff. I've always found it funny how that works. Um, it's always been a very interesting topic when it comes to that. Um, Kind of like the people who read the loudest, basically. That quote about the people who read the loudest is basically the same concept. People that always want to rail against something are always the people who are always talking about that very thing. Very interesting. Um, Moving right along. When it comes to telling the truth, nobody does it better than me. I'm the most blatantly honest person in the whole entire world you'll ever meet. I don't care if it's about me. I don't care if it destroys me. I don't care if it's about my children. I don't care if it destroys me, my children, and everybody else. I will tell the truth, and I will enjoy every bit of it as I watch the world burn. That is exactly the type of person I am. I can literally watch the world burn while I'm telling the truth. That's exactly how I am. And I've never been one to shy away from the truth. I've always been on the truth. And if I feel as though that it's too much for public consumption, I'll typically make an esoteric video about it for all intents and purposes, which I'm actually really good at, making esoteric videos, or as Yam call it, subliminals. I'm very good at those, if you've ever noticed. But typically, if I think it's not for public consumption, or if I think it's like a bit much and I think it might go overboard, I typically would make an esoteric video about it for all intents and purposes. But I've never shied away from the truth. I've always been honest about how I feel about various things and people. And like I said, there's a fundamental difference between actually liking somebody and tolerating people. People always think I like them because I tolerate them. I only tolerate you because of who you're attached to or who you're around for all intents and purposes. Like I said in a one video, I never did like you. I just tolerated you because hidden had you around for all intents and purposes. Um, it's kind of like if you have any children, which I know you do, that you don't really get to see because you moved to North Carolina, which is another topic I'm going to talk about here very soon here. Um, it's typically like when you have children and they find a stray animal or a stray pet or something like that, and they bring it home and they ask you, can you keep it? That's exactly how I view you, like a stray animal or a stray pet that I really don't want around, flea bitten, probably got some random disease. I don't want it around. That's exactly how I view you for all intents and purposes. But I tolerate you because Hidden wanted you around, or in this case that I'm talking, I tolerated you because the children wanted you around, basically. Um, but nonetheless, it's one of those things where you have to understand perfectly who you're dealing with. And if you don't have a grasp on who you're dealing with, you're never going to win the battle for all intents and purposes. And the sad part about that is, until then, you're pretty much going to keep on losing and taking these L's. Um, Something I always found interesting when it comes to stuff like that is how people always talk about I'm in my feelings. I'm not in my feelings. I'm tapping into your feelings. Um, if you know anything about me, Yam actually mentioned this once or twice. Tico's Tico's a master troll, or Tico's a master troll, basically, according to him and a few other people. Um, that's typically what I do. I'm an asshole. Um, I either troll or I just be a straight. I'm either a straight asshole, basically, either way. So it's one of those things where you can't quite figure it out because I know exactly what I'm doing it because it's cold and calculating. Whereas you just ramble on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I typically place words in certain places on purpose just to arouse you, just to get a feeling out of you, basically. Um, it's pretty fun to do, actually. I do it to everybody. Don't feel bad. Ask the Black Pill community. I do it to them all the time. uh, but nonetheless, let's talk about North Carolina. Now, this is basically a continuation of the children thing that I talked about in the last video, where I talked about children. The funny thing about when it comes to children is it's either you are or you're not trying to get your children back. You can't sit up here and cry about not seeing your children and not put forth the effort to get your children back. Right now, Double I's in the process of getting his daughter back and reconnecting with his son. There's a lot of other people in the same boat too. A man in the server literally just got his children back and won his case basically after years of fighting. That server literally made 7 years, turned seven years of fighting into a couple months, which is actually pretty interesting. So a man actually got his children back recently, which is actually pretty nice. Anytime a man says that he gets his children back or he's making headway in this case, I feel good about the server every day. Uh, Especially when paperwork gets filed and stuff like that, and you're sharing the paperwork and the PDFs in there. I got to get back in there and like reorganize it so I can actually put them in places where people can actually see them, because I know a lot of people are getting crazy with all the PDFs and downloadable files in that server. So I got to get back in there and reorganize that so people can find them easily. I think I'll make it, put it in the Blackboard for all intents and purposes so people can get the PDFs. Um, but yeah, the thing about it is if you actually don't go for your children, you can't sit up here and cry about your children. If you're not willing to put in the effort to get your children, you can't cry about not seeing your children, especially if you move miles away from your children. You can't sit up here and cry about not seeing your children when in fact you're the one that up and left for all intents and purposes. Which brings me to my next point about North Carolina. Something I find interesting when it comes to certain people, especially when they owe child support, is, or things like that, is how they move to North Carolina and a few other states similar to North Carolina. What I mean by that is typically people who move to North Carolina typically move to North Carolina because I think North Carolina has a no extradition treaty, or no extradition. They don't extradite people back for any stupid reason for all intents and purposes. So child support falls in that category for not really extraditing people back. I think you would, but the sad part about North Carolina, if you commit a crime in North Carolina, they would like you back in North Carolina to serve trial, basically. But they ain't got, but they don't have to, they don't have to commute you back to that state to basically, so you can serve time. That's a neat thing. That's a neat thing about North Carolina that a lot of people actually don't know. You can pretty much, if you really want to run, you can pretty much run to North Carolina for all intents and purposes, and a few other states like that. But it can't. I think it can't be like something crazy serious, basically, because then the FBI will pretty much pull jurisdiction and bring your ass back either way. But if it's like something like child support, you can pretty much run to North Carolina and lay low for a while, and they won't extradite you back to your state. Which is a very interesting concept. That's what a lot of people actually don't know. Um, but it's one of those things where like you have to understand why people do the things they do and why they live in certain places versus why they're not at home. And the funny thing about that is you're not at home because you can't get everybody to believe your bullshit, basically. That's all it really is. You can't get your family to believe your bullshit. It's one thing to get a bunch of new people to believe your bullshit. It's another thing to get the people who raised you all your life to believe your bullshit. If you can get the people to raise you all your life to believe your bullshit, then you're all down in a bag of chips. Until then, you pretty much ain't shit for all intents and purposes, because nobody's really, especially if you've been known to lie all your life and you've been known to like get yourself into shit and then try to point fingers at other people. Typically, your family are going to be the first people to actually talk shit on you or denounce you or say you ain't shit for all intents and purposes. The sad part about that is even in this day and age, even back then, if your child cut up, your family will always go to bat for you no matter what. If you fucked up badly and your family don't want to go to bat for you, I mean, if your family never wants to go to bat for you, that's one of two reasons. One, you fucked up badly, or you fucked over somebody who they really cared about in the family. Basically, it's typically how it works. So if your uncle, aunt, mom, grandma, dad, whoever the hell aren't taking your sides, that means you fucked over somebody in the family very badly who they hold near and dear for all intents and purposes. It's typically how it works. Don't get me wrong. There are those outliers, I said, not your family. There are those outliers where people, have shitty families, yeah. But your family's not a shitty family. You're just a shitty person. Big difference. Um, that being said, moving right along, my various thoughts on this whole entire thing when it comes to this is, like I said, I'm not in my feelings. I'm just an asshole. I actually enjoy every minute of this. I enjoy every bit of this. I enjoy everything about this for all intents and purposes. Um, so at the end of the day, what I actually want is you to kill yourself. Sounds reasonable to me. Um, hang yourself, slit your throat, blow your brains out. Don't really care. Just go kill yourself. Um, yes, I said that on live stream. Um, pretty much, yeah. Just off yourself. Put yourself in your car. Run a hose from the, run a hose from the, the muffler into your car. Asphyxiate yourself, strangle yourself, hang yourself. It don't really matter to me. Just kill yourself. I don't care how you do it. Just do it. Um, would I feel bad? No, I probably would laugh. I would show up at your funeral, and I'd probably piss on your coffin. And if they lay you in the ground, I'd probably piss on your grave too, in your headstone, and I'd probably light it on fire. Then I'd probably then I'd take out my gun and I'd put like bullets in the casket, basically, to make sure you're dead. Um, typically how I roll. Um, they don't call me internal sadist for no reason, and that's typically how I feel about you. If you died today or tomorrow, I would not care. If you're on fire, I wouldn't even piss on you. If you're on fire, I'll probably throw more gasoline on you, to be honest with you. Um, that's typically how I actually feel about you. So yeah, you could just kill yourself. That'd be nice. That'd be very, very nice. That would actually make my day, to be honest with you. That'd be like winning the lottery to me right there. Yeah, so just kill yourself. That's all I ask. Just kill yourself. You're a waste of skin. You're a waste of space. You're a waste of air. Just kill yourself. Your family doesn't like you because you're a lying sack of shit. And you just run off at the mouth and just keep on lying and lying and lying and compounding lies, basically, to make yourself sound like a victim. This is why your family don't like you. This is why your family don't want to pay for you to come back to New York, and they make you pay for yourself to go back to New York, and you don't want to go back. This is why your family won't help you, because you're a pathological liar. And you ran, basically, too. They're kind of still upset that you ran, instead of actually facing your, fatherly duties, you ran to North Carolina, basically. So that plays a big part on why they don't like your ass either. Um, like I said, I'm an asshole. So get used to this. And I'll keep making these videos until either you kill yourself or you commit yourself into a psych ward, or you get psychiatric help, basically. I'll keep making these videos until then. So these videos will be indefinite. And I'm not even going to get Lazo to do it. I'm just going to do it myself because I enjoy this, because I'm an asshole. Yeah, that's about it. Everybody have a blessed day.
do diamonds on me, go flash this ain't Snapchat. Got my baby mama that do intake.
Hoes mad, hoes mad, hoes.
You look like it. Yeah.